you should now need a bunch of reasons to get your children out of these public indoctrination camps because they're rotten to the core. You know, I'm an advocate of getting them completely eliminated. But until then, you can do two things at the same damn time. You can advocate being able to keep your money. You can advocate the elimination of these schools while also getting your children the hell up out of there. You know they're rotten. I know they're rotten. We all know they're rotten. So why continue to drop your children off to be indoctrinated by people that probably shouldn't even be around kids, but they have their own individual agendas? Well, learning stuff that's useful is secondary. Let's say that. What they really are doing is creating various soldiers for their causes. And it ain't just social stuff. It's with the other various aspects as well. I mean, it is a state indoctrination camp at the end of the day. I'm going to show you a story. The fact that it's just so much has changed culturally. Because, you know, you think of a book like this, and I'm not saying that you should go use aggression upon peaceful people on like that would make you the aggressor and you'll be the bad person. But I think even 10 years ago, if a book like this was wrote publicly and definitely targeting young people, people would have smoke coming out of their ears. That person would be fired more than likely from any. They wouldn't be. In fact, it probably wouldn't even got published. Well, we live in a different day and age now. So, as Libs of TikTok covered, Howard County Public Schools, they're having this Pride Week. Again, this is stuff that did not exist when I was in school. And y'all have to understand how fast this is accelerated. I am not that far removed from being in school. I'm only 32 years of age. Okay. So I'm not that far removed from, it hasn't even been 10 years since I stopped attending a collegiate, like a college, you know what I mean, for that matter. It got bad fast is what I'm saying. But apparently they're having Pride Weeks. Like, what the fuck this sexuality goofy shit has to do with their education? I don't know. It's almost as if this is just a way to put shit in the minds of these young people who are at a point in their lives when they're going to be the most spongy. Let's say that. There's a book called Calvin. And they're that is part of, and you can see this. They have this on their website. Apparently, this was Howard County, right? Yes, Howard County Public School System. Well, they say here, Tuesday, June 7th, on their Pride Week, it's free to register. You can join them virtually at 6 p.m. to meet J.R. and Vanessa Ford. And they are authors. So J.R. and Vanessa Ford, those are the names that you need to remember because they are the ones that thought this was an appropriate book. I'll give you the synopsis here in a little bit. But J.R., I guess, is that them right there? Okay, interesting. This club is for anyone, and the first 50 families with pre-K to fifth grade students, so remember, that's who they're appealing to, will receive a free copy of the book through a partnership with Carrie and donations from the Noble team. Books be mailed on Tuesday, May the 3rd. I'm going to give you the breakdown of the book, and I'm going to need y'all to hold your on to your butts. Calm down. I don't want anybody to get mad and ready to go bare knuckle box and shit. I need you to sit down real quick and just hear me out on what this breakdown is as I give it to you, because you're going to be like, what the fuck? But just a little bit of side note here. You remember when I say like social justice and they're broke, like there's no true demand for it. And I talked about even with like Marvel comics, I wanted to know how much money do they receive from the state? So think about this. So you get a free copy of the book. Those were purchased at the end of the day. Okay. So what happened is they said through the carrying the donations, like all whether it be nonprofit or not, they ain't just giving fucking books away. Best believe that there's some money that's involved here. So I've always wondered how much of the money to these various advocates is your state money, whether it be from like libraries, schools, and shit like that. I've always wondered what that actual dollar amount is, because I think it's far more significant than what they lead us to believe. But this is what the book is actually about. Calvin, this is the description. In this joyful and impactful picture book, a transgender boy prepares for the first day of school and introduces himself to his family and friends for the first time. Calvin has always been a boy, even if the world sees him as a girl. He knows who he is in his heart and in his mind, but he hasn't told his family yet. Finally, he can wait no longer. And this is the quote. "I'm not a girl," he tells his family. "I'm a boy in my heart and in my brain." Quick to support him, his loving family takes Calvin shopping for swim trunks he's always wanted, and back to school clothes and a new haircut that helps him look and feel like the boy he always known himself to be. As the first day of school approaches, he's nervous and the what ifs gather up inside him. But as his friends and teachers rally around him until he tells them his name, all what ifs begin to melt away. So this is a story about a girl who thinks they are a boy and they are a child. And instead of addressing this like an adult should, the family thinks because of reasons they are going to, this is the story, cross-dress the damn child and validate what is incorrect about them. And like he said, it says a transgender boy. There's no such thing as transgender children. I don't give a fuck what you say. It doesn't exist. I think it says a lot about the culture two ways. We'll talk about public schools and we'll talk about the authors themselves. The fact that the authors feel bold enough to not only write that type of book, but to also market that shit to children. So, because you're targeting children at the end of the day, right? And they don't feel uncomfortable about it. It goes to show how much has changed. But even more so, I guess, is the primary thing that I want you to take away from this video. There are public education systems all around. It is a public education system. They like to think of themselves as different and depending on where you go. And yes, some schools are more or less rotten, but all of them are rotten. And the fact that a school, an entire district, would put something out like this, promote something like this, goes to show how fucked the situation is. I think in the meantime, and to be fair, a lot of you have, and I want to give a big shout out to all of you who have taken that leap, who are parents, who had grade school aged children. And the pandemic gave you an opportunity to look into alternatives, and you took it. And you realize that it's not as difficult as what the indoctrinators wanted you to believe. See, that's what indoctrination and how it worked. Homeschool kids, they'll be weird. It's too expensive. You don't got the time. They won't have social skills. All of these lies that we were told when we were coming up. When all it was the state trying to scare people away. Scare parents away, more specifically. Because they cannot have them realizing how much they could change the future by simply removing them and their children from the hands of the state. So shout out to all of y'all that did that, but it has not been nearly enough. We got on the upward of 1 point something million children, who have been taken out of schools over the last couple of years. And people realize, like I said, it's not as difficult, not as expensive, not as hard as what you had initially thought. I propose this all the time, not the part about the child abuse thing when I say, yeah, that's the thing. But think about it like this. You've heard me say this before, but think about it like this. When you talk about the struggle of what you would experience, how difficult it may be for you to do that, with the sacrifices that you would have to make in order to take your kid out of this glorified daycare that indoctrinates them. If you wouldn't make that sacrifice for your children, then for who would you ever make it for?
You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, ericdjuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.